Welcome to another episode of Chat GRC on the Blue-Lusional podcast, where myself, Devin, and Casey interview a new grassroots candidate every single week leading up to the midterm general election in November. We are in the primaries right now, so let's get straight to it. Young lady, please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you're running for.
Hello. Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. My name is Elizabeth Lee. I am running for Congress in Arizona's 5th congressional district, so the eastern suburban sprawl outside of Phoenix. I am a nurse, a patient advocate, and a mom who's super fed up with the systems continually failing us and our politicians doing absolutely nothing about it.
Yes. We are collecting healthcare workers who are diving into politics like Avengers stones.
I see there being this little like healthcare Avengers caucus,
right?
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right?
Like Lauren Underwood can be the captain of that caucus, but yeah. I mean, listen, healthcare providers, we have to solve problems. We can't, bicker and fight over whether or how we're going to do something. We got to save your life.
Right?
So.
Yep. And you have to work together. Yep. You take an oath. It's like we're collecting healthcare workers on one hand and then veterans on another.
And maybe those people should be at the table, don't you think? Potentially, possibly, perhaps?
Yeah. Writing legislation, healthcare. Yeah, I would think. One would think.
Very radical idea, guys.
Yeah, not Nazi plumbers.
Yes. But, we always talk about why are you running? Well, we want to know what moment it clicked and you were inspired. I know there's a moment where you just go, yeah, I got to do this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I have chills just being asked the question because I remember the moment quite clearly. And it was August 3rd. I had been asked about a dozen times in the preceding year, when are you going to run for Congress? And it was always not when Donald Trump's the president. And then in my advocacy efforts, I do a lot of advocacy here in the state and on the Hill about women's health and reproductive access. And I would ask every member of Congress that I met in that year, I sort of said, okay, so what's the plan? Like, you guys got a plan? And all of them had different something, but it all started with, well, we have to flip the House, blah, 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 blah. And it was like, okay, well, go back to that thing you just said, like that thing, right? And they just kept saying it over and over and over again. And then I found out that the incumbent in the seat here in my district in Arizona was going to retire from the House after 10 years. This seat has never been held by anybody other than a white man, but he was going to retire after 10 years to run for governor. And I looked around in the organizing circles that I was in, and I was like, okay, cool. So who do the Dems have teed up to run? And everybody looked to me like I had two heads. Now, remember, I am a healthcare operations executive, right? We don't wait for a problem to happen and then come up with a solution, then come up with a backup plan. So it was just sort of astonishing to me the amount, the people that were just well, what do you mean? This is such a bright red district. Why would a Democrat even run, And so, I noodled on that for a minute. And then, I know that you guys are aware of some of my healthcare problems. And, I think that there's some time later to chat about that. But, I had used a lot of my own healthcare struggles as an excuse why I couldn't run. And so the final conversation was the morning of August 3rd. I was going to go to a Jasmine Crockett rally that night. It was a Move On rally. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was with Chris Murphy and Jasmine Ansari and Jasmine Crockett. And I was volunteering for it and giving out t-shirts. It was great. That morning I talked to my dad and I said, well, cause he's like, well, it seems like, this kind of keeps coming up, I said, well, Dad, I just, I walk with a cane. I'm partially disabled. I can't do that. And my dad got tears, he choked up. That's not who he really is, but he really choked up and he said, I want you to go print out a picture of Tammy Duckworth. And every time you think you can't do it, I want you to think how she felt when she was shot out of her helicopter and realized she had lost her legs. She probably felt times where she was like, I can't do this. when she said she was gonna run for Congress, how many people probably said to her, "You're disabled," or what, we make up all of these reasons why we can't do
Yeah.
things, and having my
Yeah.
father just, like, be that voice of reason that was like, "No, like, you can." And it just so
Mhm.
happens that I had met Senator Duckworth a number of times because she's very involved in IVF legislation.
Yes.
So, I was able to take a picture of the 2 of us and put it on my phone, and since August 3rd, I got home from the Jasmine Crockett rally that night, and it was all came together. Like, it just all came together, and I was like, "You know what? I'm doing it." And I, like, got on the Secretary of State's website, and the story started there.
Wow.
I love that.
I love it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like people never give like that day. Like people always say like, "Oh, this happened," and then I started thinking about it, and I always love hearing when people have like a specific memory or moment in time
Mhm.
where it just happened, and it not only happened, but like you said, you went home and you fully committed that.
Knew. What was spectacular about it was I didn't realize until a couple of days later, maybe even the next day, when I looked at the forms, because I, like, kept pulling the forms up, like, "Did you really do that?" Like, the first 36 hours after you say you're gonna run for Congress are a very bizarre 36 hours because 'cause you're like, "Wait, what? No, me? Really?
Wait a
Did you do
minute.
that? Did you really do
Yeah.
that?" I looked back at that piece of paper, and when I saw the dates, I realized that it had been just 12 months prior to the exact date that something really cataclysmic happened in my life and in my career that sort of changed me in the trajectory of looking how
Wow.
I could take my advocacy from women's health and fertility into something kind of bigger and greater. And so it was this realization that on August 3rd, 1 year prior, I really felt like my whole career and, like, everything I had worked for was fizzling away because of a horrible, horrible reaction I had to a prescription drug, and I had to tell my boss I was the VP of clinical operations. As a nurse, as a kid from the trailer park in Ohio, to be the VP of anything
Yeah.
was like, "Holy heck, you made it in life," you know? And so having to, like, step away from that for a second and really reexamine things, and then for it to be 1 year later on the dot, that
Yeah.
it was one of those things where I've never questioned that this was the right choice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Never. There are
Yeah.
days where I'm like, "I wish we didn't have to do this," but,
Yeah, I
but
wish. I
it's
wish money wasn't an issue. I
yeah,
wish that
Right?
like
yeah,
people voted. I wish.
yeah,
Yeah.
all of that.
Every day.
Yeah. I wish gas wasn't so expensive as you're driving
Yeah,
around throughout the
yeah,
district trying to meet
yeah.
people. Like, yeah, there are hard days. Exactly why we do this and we bring light to what it's like to run as a grassroots candidate because it's so easy to say I'm going to run for something, and then there are hard days that the average everyday person doesn't understand a grassroots candidate going
No,
through. So it's
truly.
great. It's
Yeah.
great that even on the hard days, you're like, but this I have to believe that this
Yeah,
happening a year to that day that you
yeah,
were meant to do it, and no matter what the outcome is, that you
yep,
were meant to do it for a reason.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
without a
That's a
doubt.
sign.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
a sign. All right. So Casey just mentioned people not voting. So people not voting, they don't know things. They don't know how anything works. They don't know
Yeah.
about open and closed primaries. So let's start with what does a congressperson do and how can he use that influence on a local level?
I love that. I'm gonna take 60 seconds to tell an adorable story about what Congress people do, and then I'll pivot. So, one morning, about a month into the campaign, our air conditioning went out. This was September in Arizona. So we were staying with a friend and driving back and forth to
Big
get the kids to
ups.
school. And one morning, I said to my son, I said, "Hey, buddy," because we never really sat the kids down and was like, "I'm just going to run for Congress." It just started happening. And so he was 7 at the time. And I said, "Hey, buddy," I said, "this whole Congress thing, what is this about?" And I just was curious what he would say. And he's like, "Well, you're gonna run for Congress." I was like, "Okay, well, what do Congress people do?" And he goes, "Well, they make laws." I said, "Well, why would I want to make laws?" And he was like, "Because Donald Trump's a jerk and he's taking away people's rights."
Yes.
And I was like,
Yes.
"Matt."
This is the
So,
generation we're raising.
in that moment where I was like, my 7-year-old child knows that Congress is
He
supposed to
gets it.
pass laws, and yet
Yep.
they're not passing laws. They're not doing that right now.
No.
They're
So
not.
first, I would say people think that Congress is all passing laws and, voting on bills and things like that. And it really is kind of supposed to be mostly that.
Yeah.
But also, I think that the undersung role of a congressperson is truly, this is not trite, this is for real, okay? Is to serve the people of the district. Very radical, I know, hear me out, okay? But they're supposed to solve problems for their constituents. They're also voting on legislation. They are the voice in the room of hopefully of reason, of good, of kindness and compassion and competence, all of those things. But they also, by virtue of their office, by virtue of the pin that they wear, they have clout and influence. A great example of this is Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva is a freshman congresswoman from Southern Arizona. She was elected last year in a special election to fill the seat of her father, who had passed away in the spring. And we love her. She loves us. We're, like, I just love everything about her because remember, she didn't get sworn in for like 2
I
months.
know.
Was she
We
working?
remember.
She
She
was.
was still working.
Yep.
And,
She was
we
marching. She was working. It was
yes,
crazy.
Getting pepper
everything.
sprayed.
Getting pepper
All of it.
sprayed.
Yep. So we talked to her on Saturday night at a really special dinner that we were at down in Tucson, and I said to her, I said, what about, because what's going on in ICE detention is really keeps me up at night, like truly and completely. And I said to her, and because she does a lot of advocacy on this, I said, what gives you hope that we're going to get past this? And she started talking about how all of the advocacy that everybody has been doing around ICE detention and neglect in ICE detention and all of the light that we, the people, have been shining on this situation is the very reason we have put a stop to some of it, including in attendance at that dinner was a woman named Carla Toledo, who was I believe, a DACA recipient potentially, but from Tucson, but she was held in or maybe a full U.S. citizen. I don't recall, but she was held in ICE detention for 5 days.
Wow.
And Adelita, getting out there and just being relentless. And so I bring that story up because you don't have to be the party in power to make a change, to move the needle, to solve problems for the people, for the veteran that can't get benefits when my neighbor lady's Social Security is tied up, or when, families are stuck in some kind of immigration limbo. Even when your small business is drowning in some kind of bureaucracy, that's what your congressional office is there to do, is cut through that red tape. And the other piece is to bring federal resources home. Like, I want to be the person that's fighting for Arizona's water future, for protecting our public education funding, for supporting our hospitals, for making sure that the working families in my district aren't getting left behind while the billionaires write the rules. And again, so much of it is about passing legislation, but so much of it too is about having a platform and taking space and making space. You use your voice to uplift, and then you make the space for other voices to be heard.
Yes.
And we just don't do that. Our Congress people just don't, like, at large. I mean, there's a number of them that really do, and they're fighting really hard, but so many of them don't do that.
Yeah.
They're ghosts.
Yeah.
You don't see them.
They go to
That's why
DC.
TMZ's following them around.
Yep. TMZ following them around. A lot of them never leave DC. And I mean, we've said on here that they're barely working right now. They're constantly on recess. And when they do, you would think they'd go back to their district and, work with their constituents and work with local activist group. But a lot of them go on vacation and go on the yacht and go on the jet, and they don't go home. And so people have this idea, because this is what they're seeing, that a congressperson goes to Washington. They go in every now and then and they pass a law or two, and that's that. And they have no clue that is their representative. They should be able to call their office. They should be able to go to a physical office in their own district. Like, people don't know. They just don't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah, the biggest example for that for me lately is with the explosion that happened in Texas in Jasmine Crockett's district, and people are calling her up, and you got other people clogging up the phone lines. But it's like, no, stop doing that. This is her job.
Yes.
She is supposed to be providing resources and telling people what they can do in this time of need. stopping her from doing her job.
Yeah.
It's literally her job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yep.
mean, it's just crazy. And like, I love that you had the story of Adelita, and, you know, she had a rough start. She was not sworn in. They did not want to swear her in. It was one of the first special elections where we really showed our hand, that if we show up
Yep.
and vote, that
Yes,
we
ma'am.
could turn this around, and they did not want to see that. And what she's been able to do with a Republican majority, we've seen it as well with Senator Van Hollen, who literally flew
Yep.
to El Salvador
Yeah.
to
Yep.
go get Kilmar Abrego Garcia himself. That's
Yep.
what
Yep.
influence is. And
Yep. That's
Mhm.
right.
it's seeing the representative not on the boat, not on the yacht, not on vacation at Disneyland, but physically being like, I will get on a plane and I'll fly wherever my constituent is, and I will bring them home. This is
It's
ridiculous.
literally the job. It
It's
is
the
literally
job.
Clout.
in line 246 of the job description. It's there.
That
It's absolutely there. And I think that story also is a perfect segue into this next question, because there's so much doom and gloom. People are, I think the saying online that everybody uses is we're cooked. We're cooked.
Yeah.
There's no getting out of this.
Yeah.
But we're
Hourly.
witnessing a lot of people and activist groups and, even candidates pushing back against this administration. And you had said that you're seeing it in Arizona. So we want to know, boots on the ground in your district, how are you seeing groups pushing back against everything this
Yeah.
administration's doing?
No, you guys, that has been the most hopeful part of it all. Truly. Because Arizona has become one of the most active states in the country.
Right.
Like, people are
Mhm.
showing up, and they're showing up everywhere. They're showing up at city council meetings and legislative hearings, and they're organizing around everything from voting rights to immigrant rights to reproductive rights. They're starting to realize how intersectional all of those things are,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But I have stood alongside so many of them. I have testified against anti-immigrant policies and advocated for reproductive freedom and testified against utility rate hikes. And, that's what we've done here in Arizona. We have shown up. We've fought against. We got a nod from Senator Bernie Sanders back in the fall because we showed up and held the Chandler City Council in 5 hours of public comment
Wow.
against the data center that the New York investor
Yeah.
billionaires were trying to sell to the community as some great generator of jobs. And they were really just lying through their teeth to the
Of
community.
course.
And we held them in 5 hours of public comment and shut that down, right? I've worked directly on healthcare access with folks. We've shown up down at our Arizona State Capitol last spring, so not spring of 26, but spring of 25, because of some of the cuts that started from the Trump administration. The Arizona was faced with cutting the department or the funding to the developmental disabilities program significantly. And let me tell you, people showed up. They filled hearing rooms. We showed up with a marching band, y'all, down at the
Nice.
Arizona State
I
Capitol.
think I saw that.
Yeah.
I want to say
Right?
it was like
Yeah.
January or February, and
Yeah, I remember seeing the
so
video.
my district sits in 2 counties. 2/3 of it is in southwestern Maricopa County, southeastern Maricopa County, and the other piece of it is in northwestern Pinal County. And the Pinal County attorney had made an agreement with ICE that he did not have jurisdiction to make. And he was trying to be down at the Capitol to hold a news conference. And we're like, well, then we know what to do. And so we just showed up. And so when I say like the Arizona is showing up, and they're showing up in places too that everyone says are so red. Like
Right?
Mm.
like out in Apache Junction, Arizona, which is in our district far east, before you kind of hit no man's land for a while in the Superstition Mountains, we had, I want to say 100 people at the first Snow Kings. We had about 400 people at the second one, about 600 at the third one, and they topped 1,000 people in Ruby Red, Apache Junction, like Lost Dutchman, Superstition Mountains, like that. And two, like ever since I have declared my run, I have showed up to nearly every single legislative district meeting, city council meeting, school board meeting, board of supervisors meeting, every meeting possible, because I wanted to hear from
Yeah.
everyone what was going on and how everything that was going on was impacting their lives and their livelihood. But what I've seen in those meetings is every month there's more people.
Mm-hmm.
Every month more people come out. And you just look around at as civically engaged as we are right now. And it's just like, it's so fulfilling to think that it could be my honor to
Right.
make sure that all of those voices actually have representation, because all of those voices that I've been organizing alongside of for the last 9 months, those voices, they're not allowed to come to a town hall of the current incumbent. If you are not a registered Republican, you are not allowed in.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
Well,
think
I would agree
we
that.
have an obligation. Elected officials have obligations, but we, the people, also have obligations to
Yes.
hold them accountable.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think that that is the job. The job is to go where the people are, to listen to what is plaguing them, and then to freaking do something about it. Just
Absolutely.
do something about it.
Please. Yeah.
Do your job.
Do your
Right?
jobs.
Please. Please.
Yes. I mean, one of my favorite videos that has come out of Phoenix, Arizona, was last year, actually around this time last year, when I started kind of camping out
I
outside
knew
of
you were
the
going to say this one.
immigration, yeah, the immigration courts, because I watched it happen on live in real time. Like I was at work, it was super dead at work, and I see that people are going live in Phoenix, and they say ICE officers or ICE is outside, and they're grabbing people as they come out of their immigration court hearings. And I watched it live within 20 minutes of like the bat signal going out. It was whole parking lot was filled. You couldn't even see the grass. Everyone stopped on a work day and showed up. I had never, and I don't think I ever did see anything after that quite like what happened there. Like it was like a Tuesday
Spectacular.
at like 1 p.m. I
Yep.
was like, this is insane.
Yep.
They heard the bat signal and they all showed up and they scared them into their cars and they drove off.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
And we have had a network of community members policing, community policing our streets and
Yeah.
sending out those
Yeah.
signals when ICE was really, there was a lot of activity here. I forget 6 months ago or something, 5 months
Mhm.
ago, that
Yeah.
was really rough. And we just had people everywhere that were alerting, and still the amount of mutual aid networks that continue to operate here to continue to make sure that people are fed, that people have diapers and formula, that people can get access to go to the doctor. Like it's just been very impressive and heartening to watch the community start to really come together in a
Yeah.
bigger way than I think we have in a long time.
Yeah. Right?
Mhm.
It's like the hope core that
Yeah.
everybody needs.
Yes, yes, it's huge. All right, so I did want to ask about this. So I do want to hear about your lifelong medical journey and how that is tying into healthcare being your top issue.
Yeah. 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 No, I joke that I accidentally spent 30 years becoming an expert patient. Yeah, when I was a young child, I started having daily headaches around kindergarten, and from there, an onslaught of kind of bizarre symptoms. I tripped and fell a lot. I was extremely uncoordinated. I passed out a lot. I'm very
Mm,
exercise intolerant. Just all these kind of weird symptoms. But I grew up. My dad was a union laborer. We didn't have much access to healthcare, and so it was mostly just, "Oh, yeah, your kid is just dramatic," or what have you, right? And then, unfortunately, it just continued to spiral as I got older. With every year that passed, going into puberty, it got worse. Going into teenagerhood, it got worse. And it turned out that I had a really rare genetic disease, and I had spent, years and years inside big medical systems, like I don't know if I'm allowed to say them on, like, I don't want to say them, but like probably the four most well-known medical systems in the country,
mm,
gone to and said, like, I am a, whatever age woman I was at that point, just, and I'm never not in pain. I have a headache 24/7. You know, and I knew, like I said, I knew there was something wrong, but it couldn't I couldn't piece it together. And so then when I decided to go back to school in my late 20s to become a nurse, and I started working on the cardiac unit, and I took care of this patient, and I was like, holy cow, like every symptom she has like really mimics mine. So then what took place over the next like 4 to 5 years was I had to become a nurse myself. I had to practice long enough to be able to be, to have the skills to put the pieces together. But ultimately, when I did, it like the sky cracked open. But, that was so many years of medical gaslighting, of insurance barriers. I mean, I had a surgery scheduled 48 hours before in 2006. 48 hours before a surgery, it was canceled, and I had just shaved my head the day before in preparation for the surgery. I was 22 years old, 23 years old, and the insurance company called and said, "I'm sorry that this is denied." And it took me a month of external appeals with random doctors who had never laid eyes on me
Hmm.
until I finally got someone to realize, like, there are no other options for this woman. Right? The financial stress of it, all of it was just the gaslighting of it all
Yeah.
was astonishing. But then, like I said, as I became a nurse and I looked around, I was like, this is happening in real time to a lot more people than just me. I looked around and I said, this system is super broken
Yup.
and nobody's doing anything to fix it. In fact, it's broken on purpose.
Yep.
It's
Working as
broken
designed.
on, and healthcare is not my top issue because I studied it. It's my top issue because I have lived it from both sides of that bed rail. And I'm gonna tell you, when you've been in the hospital for 30 days with a hospital-acquired infection, I've had multiple surgeries go wrong. I've had 30 surgeries in my life. I'm only 43.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
But when I started seeing it play out over and over, I kept going like, "I've seen this before. I've seen this before. I've seen this before." And the more I practiced, the more I was like, "Dude, our doctors are not practicing medicine. Our insurance companies are practicing medicine, and the rest of us are just like, okay." And everybody wants to fight against single payer healthcare. And I'm like, "Okay, you do know that you currently pay a whole bunch of money before you even get access to go to a
Yup.
doctor. And then
Yup.
even then, many times you can't even afford the out-of-pocket expenses, deductibles, co-pays, insurances, whatever. Or you'll go have something done and then you get this bill and you're like, "What?" And they'll say, "Oh, it's not covered." I remember just 5 years ago, probably, I had a CT scan and we had this whole discussion in the billing
Oh
department
boy.
about how we were sure it was covered. And lo and behold, 4 weeks later, I get a bill for $3,800, and it took me a year and a half to be like, "No, I am not this is not
Yeah.
happening, like, give me your
You didn't hit
Medicare,"
your
basically, and,
deductible.
Yeah.
like, I put on my Karen hat, and I was like, "No," because but the more I saw it and the more I realized, like, if I wasn't a nurse, guys, I think I would still be suffering.
Right?
Because figuring out what it was a genetic disease, and actually getting some pretty reasonably easy treatments for it have really changed things. But again, that if you're not a nurse, if you're not tenacious, if you're not somebody who doesn't take no for an answer, you're never gonna get answers. And
Right.
that is unacceptable in the richest country on planet Earth that spends the most money on healthcare and is the only country where it bankrupts its citizens.
I
So
mean,
yeah.
Working as intended.
yeah, it works. Yeah, it works as intended. And
Yep.
I even go the farther jump to say that women get treated terribly in the medical field, on both sides, women who work in healthcare and women who are receiving healthcare, because we always are told we're being dramatic, or
Yep.
we're just looking for problems, tough it out, thicker skin,
I had a
and
cardiologist tell me once that it was okay that I had POTS because most young nurses have some form of dysautonomia.
What?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, young female nurses. But
Oh,
let me leave that part out.
of
And I was
course,
like, "No."
young nurse. Oh, young nurses have it, so it's fine.
yeah, I mean,
All you young nurses have that.
all you
Like,
young
Who
but
nurses,
says that?
it's, yeah,
but they say this is the, Casey, you're right. This
Mhm.
is this is the plight of being a woman in the healthcare system, both as a nurse, like as a a fellow member of a healthcare team, right? You get a lot of bully doctors
Mhm.
that want to just make an example of you or whatever. But yeah, in any case, yeah, but people do say that.
They do. Yeah, they do.
They
Or
really
like,
Jesus
do.
or have
Christ.
you tried losing some weight?
Right.
That
Yeah.
would really
Yeah.
help if you lost some weight, you
Drink
know?
you probably don't drink enough water. That's
Water.
probably it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and TLDR, I mean, or, well, I don't know how you want to say it. I probably didn't use that term properly because I'm too old to be using it. But, backing up for a second to my whole medical mystery, the sort of the crazy part about it was I found out 15 years later that the reason I had an 18-month-long migraine after my daughter was born. I couldn't come out of a dark room.
That's wild.
I could
Oh,
not come out of a dark room. Like I was crawling to and from
Shit.
like personal
wow.
hygiene things. Like it was bad. I found out 15 years later it was because I had a spinal fluid leak from the stupid epidural. Had I not kept copies of the MRI, like old film copies from 2006 of the last MRI I had, he never would have figured it out. But that's what I'm saying. It
Yeah.
should not be that hard. Listen, if you're going to charge us what you charge us, at least give us some sort of Cadillac treatment, but
Right?
that's not what we get at all.
Mm.
No.
We're
It's
getting
like
more like the Pinto
Saturn.
treatment. Y'all
We
are
are
probably y'all old enough
Saturn.
to remember the Pinto?
Pinto treatment.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just absolutely insane to your point. And the what everybody says, the best country in the world, the richest, the most advanced, and this is how we're treated. To your point, people can't pay. You have to go to the primary first, talk to your primary. Your primary needs to listen to you. Then you most likely have to go to a specialist doctor, which is some people another copay to go talk to them, and then an
Now make sure you get
MRI.
your referral for that.
Yeah, got to get your referral, and then you got to set up the appointment. Sometimes it takes months and months to even get the appointment. You walk in, and then they want to run some tests, and you got to. It's
To say you
never
forgot the
ending.
labs.
Yeah, forget
And
the yeah.
nobody can tell you how much those tests are gonna cost.
No, and if they're going to be
No.
covered, or they'll say, "I think so."
LabCorp.
Yeah,
Right here.
LabCorp is on my mail. Whenever I open it,
I'm
there's
looking,
usually
I'm like, I
something.
know
Yeah.
I got one right over there in that stack.
Every now
Uh-huh.
and then I get excited when I get a text that's like, "You're being refunded." I'm like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God,
Oh,
this is so
I
great."
wish.
$12.02. I can fill up 1 gallon of gas. No.
Right? I had like a MRI done because, we have a long family history of breast cancer. So I actually have my screenings now. And so it started this year. So they just did an MRI this year. And I thought I'd be covered because family history. I mean, my mother, everyone in my family pretty much. And I got the bill. I had to pay it while I was there getting the MRI. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess that's that. The insurance said, heck no. And then the other day I got a text saying that half of it was refunded back. And I was like, this is like Christmas morning to me. Like I don't need any presents this year. I just need a refund on my MRI bill. Like
That's what
that's
we
what
want
made
out of
me
life.
happy this week.
Welcome to 2026 America.
Yes.
Well, and this is a perfect joke for
Yes.
Devin with the adulting shirt, but I'm like, that's how you know you've hit the
Yeah.
epitome of adulting when you're like, yes,
Mhm.
a refund from
That's what you get excited
LabCorp.
for.
Like,
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Right? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like day made.
yeah.
Yes. So we're hitting a lot of the southern states and that are deep red, and then we talk to people in blue states, but we rarely get to talk to candidates in swing states. So what type of difference in constituent pain points do you see being in a swing state versus a historically liberal state like New York, Massachusetts?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think probably the key there is that people are they're a lot more similar than politicians want you to believe. So whether you're in Arizona or New York, I think families are worried about the cost of healthcare. They're worried about their housing. They're worried about whether their kids are going to have a better future than they had. Like that, whether you live in the Bronx or you live in the desert of Phoenix, those are things that are of concern. Now, the difference is often, I think, scale and geography. So
Mm-hmm.
in Arizona, we've got water security is a huge concern. We've got rural healthcare access as a huge concern. We've got extreme heat being a huge concern.
Yeah.
And we also have a rapidly growing population that's putting a lot of pressure on infrastructure and housing and, but when I knock on doors, people aren't talking about ideological battles. They're literally talking about whether they can afford groceries and to keep the lights on.
It's like
Like
Yeah.
survivability.
whether you live in New York or here. And, like again, like I think what we all care about is so much more universally aligned than anybody will ever really like admit to.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's like I have this saying, like, do you want to be right or do you want to solve the problem?
Mhm.
Yes.
Because I feel like
Mhm.
Yes. I love that.
so many
I love that
people
saying.
just want
Yeah.
to be right. And I
Too
would
many people.
and
Too many.
I love being like, "Oh, I got it wrong, you guys. It's actually blah blah blah." Like too
Yep.
many people are just like, nah, I'm cool, like
Double
skating on
down.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
gonna triple
So
down on it.
yeah, exactly. And I think that, I think you guys probably would have a much better lens into this than I would with as many candidates as you've talked to. But I think there's this whole new generation of leadership of Americans who are, especially like, I think millennial aged, elder millennial, like kind of 30s and 40 something year old people who are just like,
Mm-hmm.
this is
Mm-hmm.
bullshit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
We're
we
tired.
are all we're watching the same show, right? Because this is crazy
Mm-hmm.
town,
Yeah.
and we
We're
can do
tired.
something about we're, like, really tired. So I think that you look at public sentiment. For the first time, pretty much, I think, in history, more Americans oppose the influence of AIPAC in our politics than agree
Mhm.
with it. More
Correct.
Americans are aware of what AIPAC even means.
Yep.
More
Yep.
Americans are aware of the role that corporate PACs and dark money and special interests have in our
Yep.
elections.
Yep.
So I think that, I think that we have to keep calling attention to those things and holding ourselves to a better, different standard. I have run a campaign focused a lot on transparency and accountability because
Mhm.
you know what? When I'm giving you a blood transfusion in the hospital, I guarantee you 17 people have checked, double checked, and triple checked that you are who you say you are, that that is the right blood, that we have checked every single step. And I think we need to demand something, some ethics like that of our Congress people. I always give this joke too. Like, let's say Devin is the doctor and we're friends. Okay, Dr. Devin and I are friends. We go, I don't know, we do some fun stuff. Like we go golfing. I don't golf, but maybe we golf. And
Sure.
but
That's
we're
cool.
good friends. And we're working the same shift. And Casey is my patient. And I open her chart and I see an order for 10 times the safe dose of a blood thinner. And I'm like, you know what, Dr. Devin, I love that guy. We're actually going golfing this weekend. I really don't want to piss him off. Maybe this one we'll just kind of let go. She'll be
Mm,
fine. That is preposterous.
mm,
In a court of
mm.
law, that would be called medical
I
malpractice.
Mhm.
was gonna say that's
Okay.
definitely
But
malpractice.
every single day, this Congress is doing that.
Mhm.
They are selling us down the river for their billionaire bros.
Yep.
And there's this new generation of leaders that are like, hell no,
No.
not
Yeah.
on my watch. The gentleman's agreements, the strongly worded letters, all of it goes in the circular file. We're going to move forward because I think we're in this interesting revolution as a society where we get to choose. Are we going to go down just like, or are we going to fight back and say hell no? I'm in the camp and say hell no. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Hell no.
Samesies.
Yeah. Like so many people want to be a politician because they want to be a celebrity and they want to be rich. And to that I say go on Love Island
Right?
instead.
Please. Be the
Please go
Golden
on a reality
Bachelor. Be
show. I need nurses, I need veterans, I need
Well,
And then
people who own businesses, small
we need
businesses.
people who take an oath seriously.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why we love you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then the wild part too is that all the reality stars want to be politicians now.
I know.
Right? I was
Like,
yeah,
leave us
that-
alone, please.
well, because y'all, I say this all the time. We are living through The Apprentice America Edition
Mhm.
season 2.
Yes.
And it's not going great
I
for us.
It's not.
Okay.
unsubscribe.
so
Unsubscribe.
That's what I mean by millennials are tired.
Yeah,
1 out
it
of
is.
5.
Because we watched this transpire on a reality TV show, and then we watched half of our neighbors vote that into office twice.
Twice. And they said they'd do it again unconstitutionally a third time if they could.
Not.
That would be 4. They tried it 3 times.
That's
They got it off twice.
Yeah. Wow. When you put it into that perspective, that's where millennials are tired, and that's why all the millennials are running as grassroots candidates. Like literally everyone we're interviewing is a millennial, and I'm like, thank God we are.
And I'm like an elder millennial, right? So I did like the whole growing up without any technology, like this kind of phone thing that my kids would be like, what is that? Exactly. And then it was like, just kidding. We're going to have a tech revolution, and now everything is on a typewriter. Yeah. We're tired. We're tired. But we're also, we're not like, we have great BS detectors, us millennials. And I think that's where a lot of us really, I'm a part of, I'm sure you guys know the Courage Caucus, the Courage for Democracy candidates. And I see a lot of that there. I just see a lot of folks that are like, yeah, no, I don't buy that. I don't buy what you're selling. Like, that's not how we're going to do this.
No, not over here.
Yeah.
Well, and too, like, I think when you think about healthcare professionals, you think about teachers, you think about folks like that. We don't get to come to work and not work with everyone to do the thing that we said we would do, whether it's teach the kids or take care of patients. That's not an option. You have to work with people of all parties, and you have to always be open to compromise. Because until you are, you'll get to see what we've seen with the last couple of Congresses, and that is the least productive Congresses that we have ever seen. And why are folks okay paying these guys $175,000 a year to do nothing?
I sure am not.
I was like,
I'm not.
Me too. And I joke, I'm like, y'all, I've been doing this job for free. My guy who won't meet with the Democrats, right? Like, I've been holding space for those people for free. Me too. I know. I'm like, what?
I was there.
I was there on January 6th. Yeah, I mean, there's a slush fund of people getting reparations.
Well, I could probably make some case for that, since the sitting incumbent and the wannabe governor of Arizona was a key, Freedom Caucus, crazy himself, that cheered that little mess on. We should be able to get like pain and suffering, guys.
I know.
That's I want that class action lawsuit
Day one.
As soon as this is all said and done. Pain and suffering. I got a lot grayer than expected. All right. I gained weight.
In all reality, though, in like being really honest, I think that the American people are traumatized. They're true. The last, especially for the millennials, like we were high schoolers when the school shootings started. We were college kids when 9/11 happened, and then the endless wars happened, and then the housing crash of 2008, and it just has been one thing after another. And now today, all of the promises that we were made are not being kept. You can't go to college now and work for a year or two and buy a house. That is a failure. So I think, and that's what has really informed my platform. That's why affordability has become the number one issue, because I see that we have an affordability crisis on 3 fronts. Our healthcare affordability crisis is a huge problem. Our just everyday gas, groceries, and those sorts of things is a massive problem. But the rate or the expense of education, how we gatekeep education in this country away from specific groups of people on purpose. So, affordability is, it's a great equalizer, because everybody right now is feeling the pain at the pump or wherever. But yeah, and I think when life becomes too expensive, average people are, they're going to fight back, and they don't want politicians to just, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I've seen a lot of people really standing up to politicians and being like, enough with the freaking outrage on cable news, bro. Like, we know what the problems are.
Yeah.
No, this is treason. We are aware that he is
Right?
breaking every single law on the books. We know that. Please do something about it.
Right?
Like,
Somebody should do something. No, that's you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's who thought we'd be screaming at Hakeem Jeffries? He's not even my representative, but every time he gets up and says something, I'm like, bro.
you know what? I love that you said that, though, because I think we're learning more today than ever before how they're all our representatives, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Think about it. Who was the one congresswoman everybody who cared about the Epstein files was talking about last September? We mentioned her earlier, Adelita
Yeah.
Grijalva. Why?
Mhm.
Because she was the 218th vote on the Epstein files,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
They did not want to see that happen.
Mhm.
So it's astonishing to me the level that I feel like especially today, I feel like and that's why we're in a revolution, because
Mhm.
we have a choice to make. And it- our kids' lives literally depend on it. Our futures literally depend on it. So
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
digressed a bit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So tell us, what are your top 3 priorities when you get elected?
Yes, yes, yes. So we've obviously made pretty clear healthcare is a huge priority, and affordability overall is going to be the top priority, because that is the thing that is drowning all of us right now. People are
Mhm.
choosing between groceries and rent. They're choosing between healthcare and rent. Our public education, I think one of the best investments that we make as a society is the investment in public education, because I really deeply believe that it is, as a society, we should give every single child the opportunity to thrive. We should give them as much of a leg up in the world as we can. And so here in Arizona specifically, we've seen a huge budget crisis around education due to like school choice vouchers and things like that, which, I support school vouchers in many situations, but we just have to sort of get our priorities straight with,
Right.
especially from a
Mhm.
federal level, protecting like Title I and IDEA for kids with disabilities. And we just really, a lot of the Trump administration has clawed back things, and we have been so inundated with news and with bad stuff that we forget that we've gutted the Department of Education.
Yeah.
And while we might not notice that this school year or next school year, we're going to notice, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and then,
Yup.
yeah, and then affordability around economic affordability. So housing is probably the highest on the list to me, because I was so astonished and embarrassed when I heard that the average first-time home buyer in the United States in 2026 is 40.
Mhm.
That is disgraceful.
Thanks, boomers.
Housing has to be more affordable. We
Yep.
have to build more low and middle income housing that people can really afford. A $500,000 house is not a starter house. That is not, we've really got to get our priorities straight economically. And then as well, I think a big stain on us as a society is how unaffordable childcare is in this
Yep.
country. The fact that
It's
people,
impossible.
yeah,
Mhm.
I think that the year we paid the most was like when our 2 kids were both in daycare. There was like an overlapping year. And I think we paid like $28,000 in daycare that year or something like that. It was just,
It's literally a second
it
mortgage.
is a second
Mhm.
mortgage, and it's disgraceful. And, I think that, yeah, I think at first we have to sort of we've got to right the ship in many ways. And there's some really quick things that we can do to bring affordability to people, right? Right away. Um, we can stop the illegal war in Iran. That would be great.
That
That
would
would
really
bring
help.
gas prices
That
down, fertilizer,
that'd be
food
great.
price. I mean, that would be
Yeah.
awesome. That would be a great
That would
first step.
be
I mean,
so sweet of you guys to do.
so sweet of you guys. If you wouldn't mind,
If you
just
don't
like that
mind,
illegal
just
war, if you could just knock that off.
Do us a
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah. And then also, we just need more people to be outraged about the fact that this administration has convinced people that tariffs are not taxes. Like,
Yeah.
we really need good, like public service announcements to help people understand that,
Mhm.
it's like he gave me this great tax break. And I'm like, did you see that every dollar that you received as a tax break has been eaten up double in 2026 by the cost of everything? So
Mm-hmm.
stopping the
But the
war,
check's coming in the mail.
In 2
exactly.
weeks.
2
2
weeks.
weeks. Well, and then you get those protest checks too in the
Yeah. Oh my
I
no
haven't gotten
keys
any of
checks.
mine yet for like a year, but
They're
I'm just
still in the
waiting.
mail.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I mean, the top priorities: healthcare affordability, public education, a real like reprioritization in this country around public education, and then an economic affordability agenda, something that helps people to be able to, my big thing is I think it's disgraceful that we have some people who have to work 3 jobs.
Yeah.
They can't make ends meet. They're called lazy. And meanwhile, we have folks deciding how they're going to vacation for the 7th time this year, and they are waiting on that next yacht they're super stoked about. Like, are
Yep.
we serious? Are we actually serious? And I think about, again, like, we don't need politicians being outrageous on TV. Go stop that stuff. Like,
Mhm.
and
job.
again, though, we are living in a time where a lot of people have finally woken up to, the Epstein class, the billionaire class, the class of
Oh yeah.
folks that don't have to answer for anything, and the rest of us that do. And I think that enough of us are waking up to say that, like, yeah, one job should be enough. You know,
It should.
you
Yeah.
shouldn't go
Yeah,
you
it
shouldn't go
should, right?
bankrupt for needing health care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's back to some like just the real kitchen table issues. I mean,
Yep. They want you to have those babies, but after
oh,
that, you're on your
no,
own, paying
like,
for them,
Yeah.
taking
please,
care
dude,
of them, keeping them safe in school,
that's
all of
all from you.
that.
Okay, yeah,
Uh-huh.
Just send them
right.
straight to the factory after the hospital.
Well, and
Yeah.
what's wild to me, right, is all life is so precious. Okay,
Mhm.
unless you're brown,
Mhm.
right? Unless you're black, unless you're something that
Mm.
I choose is not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Like, and yet,
Mhm.
as a scientist, as a reproductive medicine expert, I can tell you there's no difference between a black embryo and a brown embryo and a white embryo, right? But you're willing
They're like,
to
wait.
you're willing to send me as a provider or a patient as a patient, a woman, to jail
Mhm.
for aborting a 7-week clump of cells that you can't tell the difference. Like, it's so
Yeah.
just, yeah. And
Yeah. Where's the free IVF?
Invasive.
He said he was going to
right?
do that day 1. I'm still waiting for the free
Yeah.
IVF over here. Okay. I'm waiting for
Where's
it.
it at?
patiently
As a fertility nurse, I will tell you, it is one of the things that makes me the most angry because
Mhm.
I don't know how serious you are or aren't. You might be serious, but there are a lot of people that have been waiting
Yes.
since the 2024 election when he promised
Mhm.
he was the father of fertilization and everybody who needs it's going to
Oh
get
my God, he did say
government.
that.
He
It was
did.
so
He did.
atrocious. He totally did.
Father
Let me tell you,
fertilization over here.
all of us reproductive medicine experts had a blast with that one at the yearly conference, I'll tell you. But yeah,
Yuck.
no, but he truly has. There have been patients who have been waiting
Mhm.
since mid 2024 for him to do something substantive to help them access IVF. And it hasn't happened. All we have seen is a bunch of moving around of money between pharmaceutical companies and Trump RX, offering patients drugs at a discount they can already get through other programs. And meanwhile, absolutely nothing to make the cost of treatment itself better. In fact, our field is working tirelessly to try to bring the costs down because we know, like, people aren't getting any younger, people's ovaries aren't getting any riper. Like, we need to
Yep.
do something right now to
Oh
fix
yeah.
it.
Yep.
So yeah, it ultimately comes back to, like, if government exists for one purpose, and that's to serve the people. And so if it's not serving the people,
Yep.
we're doing something wrong. We've got to fix it.
Mhm. Absolutely.
That part.
Yeah. And in order
That
for all of
part.
that to happen, people have to go out in primaries and in the general election and vote, which is
Yeah.
a huge point of contention recently. So
It
many
is.
people are part of the "we're cooked" crowd. The everything's rigged, both sides are bad. So
Voting doesn't matter.
yeah, voting doesn't matter. So what would you say to somebody in your district that isn't sure if their vote's going to matter
Yeah.
this year?
The first thing I would say is I get it. I get it. I understand why folks feel that way. I understand that when folks have watched money dominate our politics, they've watched the promises get broken. This skepticism is really understandable. But the reality is, look at Arizona. The Arizona state legislature is a complete and utter circus show down there. And we have been helped by so much by our governor, our secretary of state, and our attorney general. Our attorney general, she jokes that she's landslide Mays because she won by like 200 and some votes. So to everyone who doesn't think their vote matters, I'll bet I can find 220 of you or however many she won by that voted for her who thought your vote didn't count. And yet now, fast forward, and she has literally sued the Trump administration dozens of times. She works across the country. They get on calls twice a week with the attorneys general all across the country on matters. Like, so your vote did count. Like, I get it on the grand scheme why it feels like it doesn't, because the people who are benefiting from the status quo, those are the exact people who want you to think that your voice doesn't matter, right? Jeff Bezos would love nothing more than to convince you. Elon Musk did spend countless dollars convincing people, right, of working to suppress votes. That's why he spent
250.
billions of dollars on that election. But if votes didn't matter, then why would people work so hard to influence them? Why?
Nobody ever has a good answer.
It's not, democracy's not a spectator sport, right? And I mean, I think we have learned that the hard way. I think rights are just that. They're on paper. If you don't defend them, they mean nothing. And we have learned that in the last 5 to 10 years in this country. Like, the answer is not checking out. So I will say to some people, I have a question. If your phone is dead and you have it plugged into the wall, but it's not turning on fast enough, you need your phone to work. Do you unplug it or do you leave it plugged in? Like, it's that simple. The answer is not unplugging it. The answer will never be unplugging it. The answer is making them work harder to ignore us. And that's what gives me tons of hope, because I'm like, look everywhere. The people are showing out, and they're showing out in greater and greater numbers every
record
week.
numbers.
So yeah, and I would say that. Think about it. If your vote didn't matter, why would they work so hard to make it impossible?
And if you
for
don't want corruption, you don't want these corporate PACs, you don't want foreign money, you don't want all this interference involved, you're not even going to be able to have that conversation with this administration in place. I mean, that door can't even open. We said the same thing in 2024 with Kamala Harris. We're not going to open a door to a conversation about foreign interference with Donald Trump at the table. He's not even going to be awake to hear it. So we're going to have to win back the House and the Senate. And even if that means you have to go to the ballot and vote for the lesser of two evils in some places, that might be what it has to be, but it's got to be blue. Yeah, it's got to be blue. And then we'll figure it out. Then the Elizabeth Lees will close up those loopholes. We'll talk about corporate money, corporate PACs. And
I've even said if there was a whole class of us, like Congress people, that get elected, right? We are the mercenary congressmen and women. We say, you know what? We're not going to run for reelection, because then we can do whatever we want.
Right?
I like that.
I'm just saying, you know, and it's hard to think that way, because you're like, well, if I get to Congress and I'm able to actually like move balls down the field, like you know, but there's part of me that's like, if our Congress people weren't so like wrapped up and concerned with their reelection, because the fact is, the day you get elected, you are thinking about your next reelection campaign. You are separating your staff now, right? Like, we already have a plan for our transition team and our congressional staff. We have a really great plan, and people ready to come to DC with us from Arizona and do the work together. But we know as well that, like, we'll have to start campaigning again. And I think
Oh,
that there
yeah.
really should be a group of people that are willing to go in there and say, if I get reelected, fine. But I'm not here for that. I'm here to
Right?
take this moment in time and actually do something with it.
Right? Like the people who are in office right now that have not made it past their primary recently, especially the Republicans, we are
Mhm.
watching the immediate switch up. The
That's right.
immediate, oh, I don't have to campaign anymore because I don't have a seat. So I'm going to vote against this. I'm going to do
Yeah.
this. I'm going to draw this up because this is my last.
Doesn't it really make you think about how
It makes me more mad.
yeah. It
Like,
makes
you could have did that this whole time?
Whole
yeah.
time.
This whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Oh,
gotta
that's
address
even.
that.
I'm like, this is worse.
Yeah. I'm like, that yeah, it is. Because it's like, okay, you really did sell me out. Like, yeah.
Like all of a
Yeah.
sudden we don't want to be at war with Iran anymore. Okay. It's
Oh, now you have a conscience. Okay,
Shocker.
great. Yeah, you just had to
so it's
get,
a
your
little
job taken.
Yeah.
crazy. That didn't happen when we were trying to get the Epstein files released. A lot of you guys were too busy focusing on your campaigns
That's right.
to vote for
That's
that
right.
release. But
But
crazy
again,
to
the
switch it now.
the pressure from the public is that is the bottom line to
Yep.
this entire discussion.
Political pressure's
Is
real.
the
Yeah.
pressure is real. We have put the pressure on. We've even seen brave people go out and primary Democrats knowing that they probably won't win, but that they will influence that person to
Right?
pay more attention, to
Make them sweat.
think twice about taking those corporate PAC dollars, like to really
Yep, I
put
was
them
just
on
about to say
notice
that.
a bit, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're paying attention now.
Mhm.
FEC.gov is our best
Yeah.
friend.
One of my bookmark tabs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ding.
Adulting is having the FEC as your bookmark tab.
That's right.
Gosh. All right, so we're at the fun portion now.
What?
If you,
The whole thing's been fun.
yeah.
What are you talking about?
The
All
extra
right, the
fun.
funner.
Funner.
Yeah,
Funner.
the lightning round.
Ooh, I like it.
Yes.
So if you are running for president, who's your dream VP, living or dead?
I would be tempted to say Tammy Duckworth, who I love. I talked about her a little bit, but I think I just decided to change my answer live here because I think I would choose John McCain.
John McCain.
Okay.
And here's why.
Okay.
Here's why. A, this was John McCain's seat once upon a time.
Yeah, I was gonna say
B.
Zona.
Yep. B, John McCain was the beacon of respectful republicanism.
I was gonna say the last good
Mhm.
one.
Yeah. Remember when he took the mic
Yes.
from the audience
my
member who
gosh.
called Barack Obama a slur, and he said, "We are all Americans. We don't talk like that." You remember his vote on the Affordable Care Act?
Oh yeah, when he just walked in, boom.
Thumbs down,
Mhm.
and that was it.
Everyone went,
Yep. And much like my admiration for Tammy Duckworth, I mean, I think about Senator McCain surviving as a prisoner of
Yep.
war and the grit that it must have taken. And I also think that maybe some sort of split ticket like that would be our path back to like a place where Republicans and Democrats can be at the same Thanksgiving dinner
Mhm.
table without biting each other's heads off, you know?
right? Like
So
we miss John McCain Republicans,
we do.
which is crazy.
We do, and it is.
Right. Right.
Like we hate when it
Right.
wasn't like life or death at
Well,
stake
it was
here.
it was when there was this and I think there's a mutual respect that has fallen
Yeah.
by the wayside as a result of Donald Trump
Mhm.
that we
It's
do
gone.
have to get back to. So,
We do.
and
Yeah.
technically Tammy Duckworth couldn't be my VP because unfortunately Donald Trump is qualified to be president, but she's not because she's not a natural born citizen. She
That's
went,
actually not
she
bad.
fought for us.
Yep.
She fought for us. She put her life on the line for us. She's a US senator, can never run for president and still
That's
never
just
looks back. So there, I got both my answers
America.
in.
All right, I fuck with John McCain.
yeah, honestly,
Okay.
yeah. If we had a
Like
Republican,
that.
Today,
John McCain.
right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we're all like, you
yes.
know what? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If it
Yeah.
was Trump or John McCain, I'd be John McCain.
Right.
Triple time voter.
Yeah.
Gun to my head. Yes,
John
John
McCain.
McCain immediately.
Yeah, of
Kidding
course.
me?
Immediately. So this is a fun kind of, we like to do like a would you rather or who said that, but we were like, oh, we're going to have you here. You're in the medical field. We just had annual physical drop. So
Oh, yes.
give us
Third annual.
from what you can see, your more accurate medical report of Trump's third annual physical.
Well, I know we're all three scheduled for our third upcoming annual physical here in the next 2 weeks with our
Yes.
fantastic healthcare insurance. I mean, listen, my official assessment would be that this patient exhibits chronic exposure to cable news and social media, and that could explain several of his observed symptoms.
Yeah.
But as a nurse, I don't diagnose people I've never examined. But what I will say about the results, which I kind of just chuckled at, because to believe that, how old is he now? 78, 79?
He's going to be
He's gonna
80.
be 80 in like a couple
In
weeks.
June
Basically
14th.
80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do we know
In
his
2
birthday?
weeks.
Why do we know his
I
birthday,
know,
you
I
guys?
hate that.
Anyway, but to purport that an almost 80-year-old man is in perfect physical condition is just it's insulting.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
insulting because
Mhm.
every president should be held to the same level of transparency, Republican or Democrat or independent or whatever. The public has always deserved, and the public has always, for the most part, been respected enough to be given the real facts about a president's health decisions.
Mhm.
Okay. And this is the guy that's making life and death decisions literally for 300
Yep.
some million Americans. We deserve transparency. And what I see when I see that medical report is it's not really about him specifically. It's just that I know that's not the transparent facts of the case. And B, that transparency should never depend on whose team you're on.
Mhm.
Yep.
So that's my official assessment of his third annual physical of 2026.
Woo!
But yeah,
Doing great, guys.
those bruises and those, cankles are definitely, a little concerning.
We have eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
We
yeah,
have
I mean,
all
at the end of the
eyeballs.
day, it's one of those things where, here's what I would liken it to. Okay. I would have a young medical assisting student, for example, that I would be training. And I would say, okay, I want you to go take vitals on patients 1 through 5. And they would come back, and every single patient had the same rate of respiration. All of them, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18. And I was like, you know what? I'll bet it wasn't 18, was it? So it's like, I don't know truly what is going on with his health, but I know it's not what they're saying it is, because you
Yeah.
can look at that report and then you can look at him, and you don't even have to be a medical professional, and you can see that that is not a specimen of perfect health.
No, it's so insulting to the
Like,
American
pretty
people to
much
say.
any
They'll
standard,
believe
y'all.
it.
I
They're gonna
know.
believe.
I know. You're like,
They're gonna
no, we
believe
don't.
206, 207.
Yeah, no way he doesn't weigh less than me. Ain't no
They're
way.
just,
No way.
like-
That's a smooth 300. That's a smooth 300.
It's just it's so
Yeah.
insulting for them to be
Yeah.
like, he's a perfect picture of health, and then release that, and it's not even close. It's like Fox News numbers that they give us, It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he's asleep on TV like 10 minutes later.
Yeah. He can't. Yeah. It's
There's no 80-year-old I've ever met in that type of physical condition, like in perfect physical health. If anyone would, it'd probably be Obama, because he actually was one of the presidents that took such well
best care of himself.
Yeah.
Actually didn't eat McDonald's
Uh-huh.
all day long.
Yeah,
I mean,
like if I
Uh-huh.
got that report from Obama at 80, I'd be like, all right, I could see it.
maybe, but yeah,
Maybe,
yeah,
but
no.
no.
And
But
that's
we all have
that's
eyeballs.
the whole authoritarian vibe of it all.
Yep.
Yes,
Right?
it's
Is like, it's perfect. And you're like,
Yeah.
but it's not. Like, and
It's-
the crazy part is they could come and say, yes, he's got some swelling in the ankles due to some edema from, venous insufficiency. Like, I think in one of the other reports, they gave us like a little something
they
to
did.
chew
They gave
on.
us the
After
little
they were
tiny.
forced.
Right. But then now
'Cause it
it's like,
wouldn't
oh,
shut
it's
up.
perfect. And I'm like, you just said he has chronic venous insufficiency. That doesn't just right itself in 6 months. And the
It's
next,
gone.
Yeah, not to mention
Yeah.
he
He's
just says
cured.
whatever he wants now. So he's like, I take 10 times the legal dose of baby aspirin every day, and it's like,
yeah, if one
I
is
need
good,
thin
10 is
blood.
better.
or is he just talking to talk? What do you mean?
We don't know anymore. We actually don't know anymore.
We don't know anymore. It's
No.
just crazy.
Yes.
No. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, but so we would like to know, because we're gonna figure out a way to visit everybody when they win. What is your hidden gem in Arizona? Where are we going?
Aw, that's a good question. I think, I would be tempted to say somewhere like a Sedona, Arizona, which is just a magical place, but somewhere right in the district, it just happens to be like 4 minutes from my house, is this lovely nature preserve that's the most unexpected little gem in the middle of what, like most people think that Arizona is just like desert and cacti, and
Desert.
more
Mhm.
desert and more cacti.
Oh my god, yes.
And this
Mhm.
preserve is like all of a sudden, you start walking and all of a sudden there's lakes and there's birds and there's wildlife and there's fishing
Mm.
and there's all of these mental health affirmations that are installed all around the preserve, and there are walking paths and there are benches and there are just like it's this very peaceful place that is to me a reminder of how diverse Arizona really is. And how vibrant it really is if people who've never been here, like, then they realize you can within 2 hours, you can be in the forest and it be half the temperature almost of being down in
Right?
Phoenix. Like, there's
Mhm.
just yeah, there's a lot of things, but I would say that it's just so close, it's so peaceful, and it's reminders of things that, exist in Arizona that you don't commonly think of.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like the touch grass spot.
It
Like
does.
that's the
I was
perfect
gonna say,
touch
Yeah,
this
spot
it
is where I'd
kinda
go touch
yeah.
as you're
grass
describing it.
after we
Uh-huh.
win and everything feels
Yep.
good again. Just go there and,
We
you know,
actually held
touch the grass.
we held an event there in the wake of Alex Preddy's death that really
Mhm.
Mm.
solidified how special that place is. I mean, we obviously in Arizona, we have a lot of native land that
Yeah.
we live
Yeah.
on, and it felt like that moment that, we expected. Gilbert, Arizona is where the riparian preserve is what is my favorite place, is in Gilbert. But Gilbert is pretty red, and so we expected 30 people to show up, and 300 people flooded that
Wow.
beautiful preserve and stood in solidarity with one another. And it was just, yeah, it was just this reminder that of how beautiful and peaceful Arizona really can be. And yeah, I love it there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Kind of
we're
boring,
ready.
Touch
maybe a
grass.
little bit, but in a time where we're all traumatized, where we all are owed money in a class action lawsuit against
Yeah.
Donald J. Trump for
Pay up.
definitely for, pain and suffering, but I think that it is a little underrated right now that we all do really need to
Mhm.
protect our mental health. We really
Mhm.
need to acknowledge and give ourselves grace
Yep.
for feeling the way that we feel right now. Um, and so I think that's another reason why it's a great hidden gem, because it's a place you can just go, leave your phone in the car, and just go sit and take in the beauty of the world around you.
Yeah. It's a nice
Okay.
it's a decompress, with the doom
Yeah.
scrolling and the
Yeah,
breaking news every 5 minutes. It's not gonna
that's right.
stop. It's only gonna ramp up.
That's
So if
right.
you have a spot where you could just leave your phone and go sit in some silence.
Yep. No, it really is. It's pretty
Remember
cathartic.
silence?
Yes, then sign me up,
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Well, we will all
Yes,
go get our mental health
eventually.
fix when I win. When you guys come
Yes,
out to visit, we will
please.
all
Yes.
we will sit and just take in the beauty of it all and realize that,
Perfect.
like, Mr. Rogers always said, like, look for the helpers. Y'all are the helpers. I'm the
Mhm.
Mhm.
helpers. We're the helpers.
Yep, yep.
Um,
Well,
so it'll be sweet to sit in a peaceful, beautiful place and sort of just like have some resolve and hope that we're
yes.
gonna be okay.
Yes, and some
We'll
yeah,
won't have
that's what
Yep.
to
we need,
think about
Yep.
the
honestly.
we won't have to think
Yes.
about the federal government every 10 minutes.
I know.
Please, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I
Well,
long for those days.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and speaking with us.
Thank you.
Before we outro out, we want to give you a chance to, shameless plug your website where people can find you on social media. And if you have any in-person events coming up this month where people can come and meet you in person, go ahead.
Absolutely. So you can find us on the web at nursely, the number 4, az.com. And there you can read all about me, my story, what led me to do this, what I'm fighting for, what we're doing as a community to come together, and how we plan to win. So you can find that information there. We're all over social media and pretty much all the platforms at same kind of plug, nursely, the number 4, az. And that's on all the platforms. and some great upcoming events I would love to see any local folks at. We have a seat at the table. It's an event coming up on June 14th that is intended to be just what it sounds like, an opportunity to give everybody a seat at the table, everybody in the community a voice so that they can make sure we can make sure as people who want to I want to represent you. I want to really know what matters to you. And then on the 16th, we are hosting an event with the Attorney General, Chris Mays of Arizona, and she and I will be talking about it's a conversation around what it's like to be a mom right now in this country and in Arizona,
Mhm.
you know, some of those kind of pain points. So those are two things that are upcoming that we would love to have folks come out at. And we also do every single weekend. We do community canvases, and we have a weekend spotlight every Sunday where we spotlight a local business. We try to bring people to them to, you know, bring awareness, bring some dollars in the door for them, and it gives us a place to come together. So every Sunday until the primary and well beyond, hopefully, we
Yes.
will be all across the district. So you can find all of that information on our website, nursely, the number 4az.com, under the events tab.
Yay.
Round.
Literally, the
Okay.
boots on the ground. You can go see her
Not just
in
online.
Yep, not
person,
just
in
online. Yep, find
real
us all over the
human.
socials, but what you'll find is what you see is what you get, right? Is that,
Yes,
you know?
right?
So, yeah.
Yes.
So thank you guys so much. This has been such a great conversation. I'm so
Thank you.
appreciative that there
Thank
are folks
you.
out there willing to elevate us little grassroots peons.
I know, right?
On you
We'd love it.
guys.
A
We
grassroots
know.
peon today, a congresswoman
For
tomorrow. I
tomorrow,
mean,
yes.
you know,
And the most important question of this entire interview, when is the primary?
yes,
So that they
ma'am.
know to go vote.
That's right.
And is
July.
it open or closed?
It is okay. So it is. Independents can vote it's a closed primary, but independents can vote in either primary, but they have to select which
Go
primary
to the
they
Declare
want to
party.
vote in
Okay.
by June
Hmm
21st. So if
That's
you're
really
in
Okay.
close.
Arizona and you're an independent and not party registered, you need to go. If you go to my website, right there, it'll say request a Democratic ballot, and that will take you to the Secretary of State's website, right to where you need to go to request that Democratic ballot. So
Ooh.
ballots drop in about 20 days, 25 days, something like that, which is like crazy. But the primary
Oh,
itself is on July 21st. July 21st, 2026 is the primary in Arizona.
Perfect. So June
all
21st, the
right.
month before, if you're not registered to either party, you got to go to our website and request the Democrat ballot so that you can
Go
participate.
now.
If you don't, then you won't be able to participate in this one. You have to
That's
wait
right.
until November, but we need you to go vote now so that Elizabeth can make it
That's
to the
right.
general. That's why it's
Yep.
important, guys. So,
I can't do any of this great stuff if I don't win. So
yes.
we would
So
love
this is
your
a good
support.
one because
Yes.
a lot of the closed states you have to change your voter registration, but this one you don't. So that's good. So get
Mhm.
on top of it, check your voter registration, and make sure you guys
Yeah, and I'd
are
say
voting.
if you're a Republican in Arizona too, and you're fed up with the shenanigans of the Washington, the current party in power, you can change your party even to independent and request a Dem ballot.
Right?
So that's open for everybody to do until July 21st or
Perfect.
June
Hey,
21st.
JD
June
Vance
June
said to do it.
21st. Yes.
June 21st. Yeah,
Yes, June 21st, and then you're going to show back up again on
that's
July
right.
21st, and you're going to vote or you're going to turn in your ballot early,
Yep. Yep.
okay? That's what we're doing here.
Early.
Yes,
No,
early.
the minute you get it, just fill it
Fill it
out and
out.
drop it in the mail. Because guess what? That means we won't knock at your door anymore. So if you want to stop the knock, as soon as you get it, fill it out, drop it in the mail.
Stop the knock
Stop the knock
26.
2026.
Right.
That's
You know what?
where we're
Maybe
at.
I'll win on that alone. It's like, I
Yes,
didn't
yes.
know
You're like,
that. I could have saved
damn, let
myself
me
a
just.
month of knocking.
It's only going to get crazier as it
Yeah.
gets closer. So,
Yeah.
yeah, make sure you guys do that. Thank you, Elizabeth, for coming
Thank you.
on. And
Appreciate
hopefully,
it.
Thank
next
you.
time we talk to you is going to be at the Capitol. I mean, definitely
That's
coming to
right.
visit you and
You
seeing all the
bet.
great things that we know you're going to be doing. And then our trip to Arizona.
That's right.
That's what we're going to be
We'll go
doing.
zen out and
Yes.
heal a
Yes.
little bit from this.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to take
Yes.
on the administration, then we're going to
Right.
heal in
That's
that
right.
order. So,
That's right.
yes, so thank you so much for
Thanks,
coming
guys.
on. And
Appreciate it.
everyone, we're here every single Thursday doing a chat GRC all the way through to the general election in November. So make sure you're tuning in every week and sending it to somebody you know lives in that district so that they know who to vote for on the primary and in the general. We're getting it done this year. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.